Direct from Las Vegas, it's week 4 of America's longest running sports handicapping show, ProLine. Breaking down 4 of the biggest college and pro football games this week are professional handicappers Jim Feist, Smash Mouth handicapper Scott Spreitzer, Smokin' Dave Koken, and 34-time handicapping champion Big Al McMorty. And now, here's your host, Pat Williams.
Good morning and welcome to ProLine, America's longest running sports handicapping show. I'm your host, Pat Williams, and as always, I'm joined by the great Jim Feist. Jim, last year the Arizona Cardinals snuck into the Super Bowl. Any teams jumping out after 3 weeks of the short NFL season?
Well, you wouldn't have thought the Arizona Cardinals would have been there 3 weeks prior to the playoffs because they took off at the end and they were one play away from winning the Super Bowl. I'm going to say this, and it's controversial even on this set. Betting on futures in the NFL is a sucker bet. You never get the right price. However, and I'm going to say this, however, the odds do change, like we're going into week 4, and sometimes those odds stay up there, and you can find an overlay. And if you do the analysis, the schedule analysis, and look at the injuries that have already happened, et cetera, and Al does this kind of work, so I'm going to throw it to Al to analyze it.
Yeah, any discussion of futures has to first start with what the true odds are. And in the NFL, you can break it down into 4 groups. Teams that are going to be seeded number 1 in the playoffs, teams seeded number 2, teams seeded 3 and 4, and teams seeded 5 and 6. And basically, in a year like this where there's a lot of parity at the top, a number 1 seed has roughly an 18% chance of winning the Super Bowl, so we can say they're 9-2 against. A number 2 seed is roughly 8-1. 3 and 4 seeds are about 20-1, and 5 and 6 seeds are about 31-1. So you first have to understand the exact odds before you decide, am I going to plunk down money at Baltimore at 9-1 odds? Because if you do, you better be darn sure they're going to finish number 1 or 2 in their conference.
Well, and that's part of the problem is that there's so few opportunities to get any kind of value. Let me give you a little trip down memory lane. Jack Snow, late Jack Snow, former Ram great, was our host for many years. And the year Kurt Warner joined the St. Louis Rams, they'd been 4-12 the year before. And Trent Green was supposed to be their starting quarterback, and he got hurt in preseason. And we're joking with Jack, well, that's it for your team. They don't have a chance. Well, it turned out they did have a chance, obviously, and they paid off. They were as high as 400-1 at one of the local hotels. In fact, one of the sportsbook managers lost his job because some people plunked down cash in the Rams and got paid off. That was the end of any value that you're ever going to get on futures because the books from that point on said, we're not putting those odds up anymore. Now you get the Lions at 75-1. Are you kidding? So maybe you can get lucky and isolate a team at decent odds, but in terms of being a smart bet, there's just none out there.
Well, I kind of combine here with what Al's saying. With the Baltimore Ravens, I'm glad you brought them up. It was a team I was thinking about. You know, I'm running around town and I see the Baltimore Ravens roughly 9-1. And as Al said, you better make sure they're going to be a 1 or a 2 if you're going to jump on those. And a lot of people right now are going crazy. Baltimore 9-1, give me it. That's why the Vegas books get bigger and bigger. But the bottom line is, this team, look at their schedule and look at the way they play. This is an over-aggressive defense. They're weak in the secondary, and they play Green Bay. They play Pittsburgh twice. They play Cincinnati twice, no longer an easy team. They've got to play the Broncos, no longer an easy team. They play the Patriots this week. So basically, you've got to not only try to decide if this is a 1 or 2 seed when you're making your bet, but you also got to look at that schedule and look to see how that defense is playing. The secondary can be beat. One more team that I'm going to look at, I'm going to say if you have to make a wager when it comes to this kind of stuff, look at the Eagles. Right now everybody's just throwing this team aside because of the problems with McNabb's injury and so on. They play a relatively easy schedule, relatively the key word. They could very easily be 11-5 at the end of the year. Stick around, more ProLine up next.
Thanks, guys. We'll be right back with an ACC showdown as Florida State travels to Boston College. Stay tuned.
Last Saturday, my personal service went 7-3, 70% winners. And Sunday, I cashed again with my Pro Dominator on the Baltimore Ravens. This weekend, everyone is going 3-0 with a triple header of high-end service plays, including a huge platinum mismatch when you make the call to 1-800-241-6820. All 3 plays are yours for just $9.95, and you'll go 3-0, or the rest of October. Executive service is free. Make the call right now, 1-800-241-6820.
Hi, I'm Scott SPREITZER off a perfect 3-0, 100% KO weekend sweep that included my KO Game of the Year win with Stanford. Now, after crushing the books each of the last 2 weeks, I'm releasing my ODDSMAKER Blowout Game of the Year in college football for only $25. I'm 8-2, 80% lifetime with these gigantic winners, and at no additional cost, I'm releasing my Dog Pound of the Year in the pros. That's 2 huge Game of the Year winners for only $25. Call 1-800-621-7640 or go to jimfeist.net.
Welcome back to ProLine. This week's first college game features Florida State at Boston College. And Scott, this line opened at Boston College, a 5.5-point dog at home. The public's bet it down to 4. What's your take on this game?
And I like the fact that it's going down because I think this is a good spot. There haven't been a lot. We had them a couple of weeks ago, Florida State, in a good spot, and they routed BYU. But we're talking about a couple of teams on today's show where I think there's been a bit of a demise in their programs, Florida State being one of those over most of the last decade. In fact, they're 31-21 straight up over the past 4 years. That's less than 8 wins per season by this once proud program. Not sure if Bobby Bowden's doing a whole lot of coaching right now. But the bottom line is, they go up against a team they can handle in the trenches this week. And we've seen Florida State, when they throw their athletes out there and let them play, man, they can tear apart anybody as they did with Brigham Young. Here's the problem for BC. They don't stop the run. Last week, they go up against Wake, a good team, but not a great offensive team. They give up 500 yards almost on 7.5 yards per play. Then you've got Roddy Skinner firing the ball 35 times. Not a single finger gets on him by the BC pass rush. BC can't throw the ball either. 38 for 79, 48% through the air. I think this is a good setup for Florida State to come in and do what they did against BYU, maybe not by that wide of a margin, but to get out of Tallahassee, get on the road, focus, and win this game against BC, Dave.
Well, we have different opinions on Florida State. I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're any good anymore. I think they're just an average ACC team that's got a big name. I don't understand why Jimbo Fisher's been preordained as the successor to Bobby Bowden. Has he done a great job as an assistant? I don't see it. Florida State this year has played one good game against BYU, and boy, they got a lot of help in that game because BYU was awful in that game. They got full of themselves and put on a terrible performance. Boston College was very lucky to win last week against Wake Forest. In the overtime, Riley Skinner fumbled on a 1st and goal. Wake Forest is probably going to win that football game, so it's not like I'm making a great case for Boston College, but I think you're looking at a Florida State team that is still overrated because of their name. I don't like them going on the road here. I agree with the movement on this game, and I think BC squeaks out a win.
You know, I love this time of year in college football. You know, this is the early to middle part of the season. You have some undefeated clubs, Texas, LSU, Florida, Boise State, and all the attention is going to those undefeated clubs. But just under the radar, you have these one-loss clubs. You know, teams like South Carolina, Ohio State, even this Boston College team, a 3-1 team. And one of the things I like to do is find these one-loss clubs that are home dogs of +3 or more. And if they're off a momentum building win, these teams are 35-16 against the spread, going all the way back to 1981, including 13-1 against the spread if they're off a Suats win. I'm going to take a shot with Boston College, notwithstanding the fact, Jim, they've been wildly inconsistent this year.
Wildly inconsistent. You know, everybody here has made great points, and I agree and disagree with each person. And the Boston College, talent-wise, I do not believe matches up well to Florida State. However, Florida State is probably the most schizophrenic team in all of football. This team, they played very, very well. I disagree with you, Dave. I think they played very, very well against Miami of Florida. It was a great game. Christian Ponder looked fabulous in the game. They just got outplayed and got beat in the end. They lose to teams. They almost lost to, what, Jacksonville State or somebody like that. And then they go to BYU where they're a 7 or 8 point underdog. Everybody likes BYU, and they crush BYU. And then they come home and they play a rival, South Florida, who competes for all their athletes. But Florida State doesn't pay any attention to the kids that go to South Florida, so they're pissed off, and they come out and they whip them, and they whip them bad. Now they go to Boston College, who doesn't match up in the trenches. But what you said, they don't throw the ball. They actually can throw the ball at Boston College because they pick up this 25-year-old freshman, Shinsky, who actually threw the ball very well last week. This is a tough game to handicap. I'm passing.
Thanks, guys. The panel will be right back with another college matchup as LSU takes on Georgia in a big conference game. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Big Al McMorty, and my ProLine clubs are on absolute fire. 43-19 my last 62, and my Pinnacle plays are hitting an incredible 78%. And today, I'm featuring my Pinnacle Club's 3-team parlay of the year. And you're guaranteed to go 3-0, or you get all my Pinnacle plays the rest of the season absolutely free. This is a can't-lose offer. Call right now, 877-652 4425. That's 877-652-4425. Go 3-0 guaranteed. That's right. You're going 3-0 or the season is absolutely free. Call right now.
Hi, I'm Dave Koken, and I'm off a monster week on my top personal service plays. It gets even better today with my Michigan State play. That's free at 1-800-344-5030. Plus, I'm including a full week of my personal plays featuring my first conference game of the year, and that's all free as well. The rampage continues right now at 1-800-344-5030 or visit jimfeist.net.
Hi, I'm Ross Warbit. Today I'm releasing not just one but two conference games of the year, and both big winners are absolutely free of charge. Just make the call to 1-800-521-1869 and go 2-0 on the house today. No cost, no obligation. Just two of the easiest winners on the board today. Make the call to 1-800-521-1869.
Welcome back to ProLine, and up next, LSU visits Georgia. This game opened at Georgia laying 1 at home. The line's now Georgia -3. And Dave, LSU 3-13 against the spread against teams with a winning record.
Well, if you've been plunking down money on either of these two teams the last 2 years, you don't have much money left, okay? Because they have both been brutal against the spread. I got to tell you, if you survey some of the sharper guys around Las Vegas on big-name coaches who may not be real good at their job, Les Miles' his name gets mentioned a lot. LSU has started to decline, and now he's got all his own players in there. He doesn't have the Saban recruits anymore. This team's 4-0, and they're lucky that they're not 2-2. They got outplayed at Washington, had a lot of troubles in that game, and that's a Washington team that at that time was still very much under the radar. And last week, LSU was flat out lucky to win at Mississippi State. They got blown out in that football game in the stats, and Mississippi State basically gave them the football game, didn't know how to win it. I think LSU is a program in some serious trouble right now. Not that Georgia is a great performer at this point either. They seem to only bring it on certain weeks, Scott. But I think Georgia's a little better football team right now. Playing at home, even though it's revenge for LSU, I like the Bulldogs in this game.
Well, this is the team that I was talking about. When I said there's a couple of teams we're talking about are programs once powerful that are in a steady decline, and that is the LSU Tigers. Completely agree with you. I think Les Miles, well, what happened was, here's what happens. Nick Saban, a fantastic recruiter and coach, brings all these great athletic supreme recruits into LSU. Last year they started to dwindle down in numbers. He goes 8-5, Les Miles in LSU. Now he's got no Nick Saban recruits left. These are all his own kids, and you're seeing a big decline in this football program. Last year, the final 4 games, they went 1-3 straight up, 0-4 against the spread. They gave up 27 points once and 31 points 3 times in their final 4 games. They gave up over 50 points in 2 different games last year. This is not your father's LSU football team. They do not belong in the top 5. They don't belong in the top 10. And I think in this particular case, they're going to get exposed once again. I think LSU's averaging like 310 yards per game right now at less than 4 yards per pop against a soft schedule. All 4 teams, Jim, that Georgia has played thus far can make an argument that they're at least as good as LSU, if not better right now. I'm going with the Bulldogs.
I can't disagree with you at all, but I think you pointed out another side to this game. Not that I'm going on LSU. I agree with your Georgia side. What I like about this game is the total. It's 52 points right now, and I like it to go over. I think both of these teams are going to run up and down the field and score a ton of points. I think they're both overrated schools. The SEC has a lot of good schools over the years, strongest conference in the country, but these two teams are not that powerful. You got to look to Florida and Alabama for that. These two teams are going to go over the total this week.
Well, Jim, you mentioned you'd like this game to be possibly high scoring. I really don't. I take a look at LSU's offense. Scott mentioned 310 yards a game. That's last in the SEC. They're scoring 28 points a game. That's 9th in the SEC. I don't like LSU's offense at all. They are undefeated, but if you look at what undefeated teams do who are 4-0 or better, if they're playing a team that's not undefeated, these teams are 132 and 183 against the spread going all the way back to 1980 if their opponent is off a straight-up win. I'm going to take a shot with Georgia and lay the wood against Louisiana State.
Thanks, guys. Up next, return to Sunday's pro games as the New England Patriots host the Baltimore Ravens. Stay right where you are.
Hi, I'm Dave Koken, and I'm off a monster week on my top personal service plays. It gets even better today with my Michigan State play. That's free at 1-800-344-5030. Plus, I'm including a full week of my personal plays featuring my first conference game of the year, and that's all free as well. The rampage continues right now at 1-800-344-5030 5030 or visit jimfeist.net.
Last Saturday, my personal service went 7-3, 70% winners. And Sunday, I cashed again with my Pro Dominator on the Baltimore Ravens. This weekend, everyone is going 3-0 with a triple header of high-end service plays, including a huge platinum mismatch when you make the call to 1-800-241-6820. All 3 plays are yours for just $9.95, and you'll go 3-0 or the rest of October. Executive service is free. Make the call right now, 1-800-241-6820.
Hi, I'm Big Al McMorty, and my ProLine clubs are on absolute fire. 43-19 my last 62, and my Pinnacle plays are hitting an incredible 78%. And today, I'm featuring my Pinnacle Club's 3-team parlay of the year, and you're guaranteed to go 3-0, or you get all my Pinnacle plays the rest of the season absolutely free. This is a can't-lose offer. Call right now, 877-652-4425. That's 877-652-4425. Go 3-0, guaranteed. That's right, you're going 3-0, or the season is absolutely free. Call right now.
Welcome back to ProLine. This week's NFL Game of the Week features the Baltimore Ravens traveling to New England to take on the Patriots. This game opened at 44, and the Patriots a 2-point favorite. And Jim, the Baltimore Ravens, this month's flavor.
Absolutely. We talked earlier about futures bets. New England is 6-1 to win the Super Bowl, and Baltimore is 9-1. Now, granted, they've lowered the 9-1 since the beginning of the season, but of course Al's going to tell you a little bit about how they adjust here. But this is a 1 or 2 point home favorite against a team that has bigger odds to win the Super Bowl. It makes absolutely no sense. As far as this game is concerned, I do feel they're undervaluing New England in this spot, and maybe the flavor of the month is not the right way to go. But Al, let's talk about those adjustments.
Yeah, well, you know, it's really here in Las Vegas. Offshore, you get a much better deal, but the way it works with futures here is they start you off low if you're a good team like New England, 6-1. The Pittsburgh Steelers start off at 4-1. But then if you get off to a bad start like the Steelers, they don't move you back up to 22-1. No, if you walk into the Hilton or some of these sports books right now, the Steelers are still sitting there at 4-1. So you really, you know, they get you going both ways here in Las Vegas. But you're right, this number is kind of a little fishy because New England is perceived by most people as the better team. But look at what Baltimore's doing right now, outscoring their opponents by 17 points per game. And you can't really ignore it, even though, yes, they've played the little sisters of the poor, Kansas City and Cleveland, not to mention a banged-up San Diego team. I love what Baltimore's doing. I actually think there's value in winning the Super Bowl. I like them at the 9-1 odds. I'm still going to go against them here and take the New England Patriots minus the points. New England falls into a system of mine that's 111-52. I'm going to take the Patriots.
Well, I'm not going to take either side because I actually think the Ravens are a better football team than the Patriots right now, but you're getting screwed on the value at 2. It's just not a good enough number. New England, if you're going to play a side on value, you have to play New England. But I think the play here is the over. This Baltimore team can score. Cam Cameron's working his magic again. This guy is so good with quarterbacks, it's scary. And Flacco looks like a different player. I mean, this kid's got experience now. He's tremendously confident. They've got decent receivers. They can run the ball a little bit. McGahee's getting a lot of stuff at the goal line now. Rice is doing a nice job. And the Patriot running game, I know they had a good week last week, but boy, I just look at this lineup of running. Fred Taylor, you know how old this guy is? I mean, I looked up his address. It's an assisted living community. Yeah, but I think they're a team that's in a little bit of decline right now. I think they're still surviving as the Patriots on reputation, and they'll probably win some games on their coaching and Brady's ability to pull things out of the fire. But I don't like them right now. I think the play here is the over. Both teams are going to move up and down the field in this game and score.
I think for Baltimore to win this game, they're going to have to change their MO a little bit on the opposite side of the football. And I'm going to be a little bit, I'm not crazy about New England, but I think it's a team that's starting to make the right adjustments as the season progresses, even though only 3 weeks in. Now, our angle guy, our banker down here at the left, he started to vie in a little bit into the matchup and fundamental handicappers area there when he started talking about,
I can get back to my angles if you want.
No, it's great. It's great because it sets everything up perfectly because he started talking about who Baltimore has played. You cannot ignore the fact that they played the Chiefs and the Browns in weeks 1 and 3, or that they played, as you mentioned, a banged up, injured, bruised, and battered San Diego team. Norv Turner's the coach there. That's banged up and bruised before they even get started. Okay, so you've got to factor that into your handicapping, and I appreciate the angles, but as far as I'm concerned, you mentioned Flacco. He's doing a great job. Again, look who he's played. He has not been pressured. He has not been rushed out of the pocket. He's been able to park his butt 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage and aim left or right without having to run. I tell you what, New England's getting better, folks, week after week. The offense is starting to hit. They'll get after Flacco. They'll pressure him, make him make some bad throws, and they've got the huge matchup that I like in this game, Randy Moss, who towers over Fabian Washington. That means fade route after fade route after fade route, New England, baby.
When we come back, it's another pro matchup as the Tampa Bay Bucks take on the Washington Redskins. Stay right where you are.
Hi, I'm Scott SPREITZER off a perfect 3-0, 100% KO weekend sweep that included my KO Game of the Year win with Stanford. Now, after crushing the books each of the last 2 weeks, I'm releasing my ODDSMAKER Blowout Game of the Year in college football for only $25. I'm 8-2, 80% lifetime with these gigantic winners, and at no additional cost, I'm releasing my Dog Pound of the Year in the pros. That's 2 huge Game of the Year winners for only $25. Call 1-800-621-7640 or go to jimfeist.net.
Hi, I'm Big Al McMorty, and my ProLine clubs are on absolute fire. 43-19 my last 62, and my Pinnacle plays are hitting an incredible 78%. And today, I'm featuring my Pinnacle Club's 3-team parlay of the year, and you're guaranteed to go 3-0, or you get all my Pinnacle plays the rest of the season absolutely free. This is a can't-lose offer. Call right now, 877-652-4425. That's 877-652-4425. Go 3-0 guaranteed. That's right. You're going 3-0 or the season is absolutely free. Call right now.
Hi, I'm Dave Koken, and I'm off a monster week on my top personal service plays. It gets even better today with my Michigan State play. That's free at 1-800-344-5030. Plus, I'm including a full week of my personal plays featuring my first conference game of the year, and that's all free as well. The rampage continues right now at 1-800-344-5030 or visit jimfeist.net.
Welcome back to ProLine. Our next game features the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Washington. This game total is in at 37, and now Washington's a 7-point favorite. And can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who in the hell is Raheem Morris, and why is he coaching an NFL football team?
Hey, better yet, who is Jim Zorn and why is he coaching? You know, what I find interesting is after losing to the Lions, now the Lions hadn't won in 19 games, Jim Zorn actually in the press conference afterwards said he thought his team was getting better. Now, wait a second. You just lost to the team they hadn't won in forever. The week before that, you played the St. Louis Rams, and you only won by 2 points, and you say your team is getting better. You know, no wonder there's no cohesion in this locker room. You know, this is a very interesting week for me. It's week 4 of the NFL, and this is the week where teams begin to either move forward or fall back. You got the 3-0 teams. Are they going to win, move to 4-0, and become Super Bowl, contenders? You've got the 1-2 teams. Are they going to win and then get back in the playoff hunt? But the most desperate of teams are those 0-3 teams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are one of those teams. And these are the teams that really want to win. And I love betting on 0-3 clubs, Dave, especially when they're on the road against another losing team and they're getting more than a field goal. Would you believe since 1985 they're 12-0 against the spread? No, let's face it, we can make Raheem Morris jokes all day long, but I got to take the points here with Tampa Bay.
Wow. I'll say that angle goes to 12-1.
Okay, we'll bet lunch on that.
I think this team is... Tampa Bay is the Pittsburgh Pirates with face masks. Okay? I'm dead serious when I say that because they have the lowest payroll in the National Football League, and it's not close. You know, I know they have a salary cap. But you don't have to spend all that money, and they don't. And it's pretty clear that since the Glazers bought that soccer team, they don't care about the football team anymore, and they should sell it. It's a disservice to the fans in Tampa Bay. They don't pay their players. They have the lowest payroll in the league. I think Raheem Morris, I don't know what his contract is, but he has to be the lowest paid coach in the league. The guy was, here's the Raheem Morris story. The Devil Rays, that's the team that actually wins some games in Tampa. This football team last year, when they lost Monty Kiffin, Morris was promoted to be the defensive coordinator, and the defense completely fell apart down the stretch. So naturally, they made him the head coach. That makes a lot of sense. They're awful. I mean, really awful. Cleveland's the worst team in the league. I think Tampa's right behind them. The Redskins, Jim Zorn probably coaching for his job because Snyder's going to get impatient. If they lose this game, I think he'll get fired. And I think Zorn will get a big effort from his players here, and I like Washington.
The Z factor.
The Z factor, yes.
Don't hire a coach whose last name begins Ron Zook, Jim Zorn. What do you want? It's the Z factor. What's the angle on Z's? But anyway, I'm going to tell you this. Bucks, Raheem Morris, you mentioned it. I did a radio show, a preview show of the football season 4 or 5 weeks ago, and spoke about Raheem Morris and how bad the team was when he took over the defense last year. That 4-game stretch in the season was Tampa Bay's defensive worst over 4 games since Monty Kiffin had arrived, over a decade. So promote him to head coach. Government agency, right? So then what we do now is we say, oh, I see, he's given up 430 yards per game so far this season. Obviously, Raheem Morris was promoted because of his offensive prowess. And so I'm looking at it and I said, well, they had 86 total yards and 5 first downs last week. He's almost ready to be anointed GM. There's no doubt in my mind now with those kind of numbers. As far as this game is concerned, man, you want to take Tampa Bay, have fun. You want to take Washington, good luck. I'm out. I am not taking either one of these teams this week. Everybody was on Detroit last week and kind of figured, hey, maybe Washington can win this game. But what I didn't know is what Al told us. Zorn said his team improved quite a bit last week, so watch out.
I did read about that comment. We are making progress. We're improving. I mean, it's ridiculous. Zorn looks like he's just way too conservative to be a head coach in the NFL. Raheem Morris, we just beat him up. One of the newspapers down there said he's drawing up his game plan with Crayolas and construction paper. So, I mean, but beating him, you know, the happiest guy is John Gruden. He got out just in time. They have no talent, none whatsoever. Yes, they occasionally, they might even win a game. Not this year, though. But I think they actually could go 0 for the whole card this year. Washington has too much talent for this team. Granted, they haven't been using it. The players are disgusted. The owner is disgusted. Zorn is meeting with the owner every day now this week. He's on the hot seat. And the players, they somehow like him. So I think they're going to play hard. I think Washington wins this game.
After a quick break, we'll be back with the plays of the week from the entire ProLine panel. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Scott Spreitzer off a perfect 3-0, 100% KO weekend sweep that included my KO Game of the Year win with Stanford. Now, after crushing the books each of the last 2 weeks, I'm releasing my ODDSMAKER Blowout Game of the Year in college football for only $25. I'm 8-2, 80% lifetime with these gigantic winners, and at no additional cost, I'm releasing my Dog Pound of the Year in the pros. That's 2 huge Game of the Year winners for only $25. Call 1-800-621-7640 or go to jimfeist.net.
Hi, I'm Ross Warbit. Today I'm releasing not just 1 but 2 conference games of the year, and both big winners are absolutely free of charge. Just make the call to 1-800-521-1869 and go 2-0 on the house today. No cost, no obligation. Just 2 of the easiest winners on the board today. Make the call to 1-800-521-1869.
Last Saturday, my personal service went 7-3, 70% winners. And Sunday, I cashed again with my Pro Dominator on the Baltimore Ravens. This weekend, everyone is going 3-0 with a triple header of high-end service plays, including a huge platinum mismatch when you make the call to 1-800-241-6820. All 3 plays are yours for just $9.95, and you'll go 3-0, or the rest of October. Executive service is free. Make the call right now, 1-800-241-6820.
Welcome back to ProLine. My favorite part of the show now, this week's Best Bets. Big Al, who do you like?
Well, Pat, last week Mississippi State a nice winner, 67% on the year on my best bets. This week I turned to the pros. You guys are probably going to make fun of this one, but I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love this situation. They've played a relatively tough schedule thus far. Dallas, Buffalo, and the Giants, those teams are 6-3 on the year. I think Bucs get their first win.
Thanks, Big Al. Now to Smoke and Dave Koken. Who do you like this week?
Well, you know, there's some absurd things in the universe, and one of them is the USA Today Coaches Top 25 poll. Despite the fact that Oregon beat California 42-3 last week, California is still rated ahead of Oregon. They've also got LSU number 4 in the country, and they're not close to that. Georgia minus the points.
Thanks, Smoke and Dave. Scott Spreitzer, Smash Mouth.
The decline of this LSU Tiger program, it's ludicrous. And the line opened up 1 in this game. It's gone to 3. I'm with the movement. I'm on the Georgia Bulldogs. This will probably be the easiest week they've had in their first 5 weeks so far. Georgia gets the money.
Thanks, Scott. Jim Feist, best bet.
This is one of the more ridiculous plays. You have a team that can't win, they can't score, they can't do anything right, but they're playing a team that we knew was going to be terrible all year long, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going with Washington. They're going to bounce back and actually save Jim Zorn's life.
Thanks, Jim. And I'm going to go to Ohio this week,
No,
guys.
no, you can't give out any plays.
What do you mean?
No, you're from Ohio. You can't give out plays.
Guys, listen, I'm going to go off the card. I'm going to Cleveland. The Bengals go into Cleveland, lay the 5.5, big win. My 2-1 should be 3-0 Bengals. Go to 3-1 this week. Guys, that's our show. Great show.
Everybody wants to be a handicapper. This is proof.
That's our show this week. Thank you for watching ProLine from all of us to all of you. We'll see you next week on ProLine.